before building a plugin? Is this an overview that somebody needs to understand to kind of structure, put in the, I mean, if linear is the example, would it be where the linear credentials and API goes?
Yeah, I mean, I'll show you how to make a plugin. I
Okay.
just wanted to yap a little bit. It's gonna go over, yeah, just that's like what we've been working on. The autocoder thing is not quite ready to show off quite yet. Also, Clank tank submissions, plugin Clanker. I don't think that's actually that, but there is the Clank tank. That is, I suggest everyone
Yeah, Clank is
do a
sick.
submission to. Yeah, so the idea of this is like an AI-powered game show where if you create a cool Eliza agent, you can like submit it and submit all your code in your repository. You can like connect your Discord and like a wallet, and you will be featured and like live judged by like the Eliza, Shaw, DJN Spartan. It's pretty cool. There's been a lot of work that's gone into this. Um, and there's going to be like rewards for people. Um, and it's pretty good at judging it. Like we've done a few initial tests, and it's like a very complex AI pipeline that Jim created. So if you want to get some clout for yourself, definitely submit to Clank Tank within the next week. It's gonna be pretty cool. All right, let's get into how would I make a plugin. And so there's a lot of different ways. Um, Let me clean up here. Mm-mm. So typically, I'm going to do this from monorepo because that's how I, as a developer, work. You create elizaOS, create, and you get like a plugin like Hello World, and I could start from there. Um, I mean, just personally, obviously, I'm a core dev, so I run the monorepo usually. So I'm just going to do that because that's what is most usable for me. Um, my setup that I use, like I'm on Cursor, definitely always get Cursor. When I joined the company like 3 months ago, I was like sort of Cursor less. I was still using like VS Code with like their agent mode and like Copilot, and I was like, no man, it's like good enough. And then I got Cursor with like the enterprise account with like Opus Max mode and like auto and like there's like zero comparison. Like I barely write code now. So I highly suggest. And we have a Claude MD that's been recently updated. So if you like to use Claude Code, this got updated 1 month ago. No,
Yeah.
it got updated like a few days ago. So you can Claude code with stuff pretty well. Um,
Nice.
and so we have very high AGI auto agent coding support built into the repo.
So that that
But
that is like a prompt. Well, there's a catalog of prompts that people can use to start to build things within the plugin.
well,
I've not seen this before.
yeah, the Claude MDs, and there's also a Cursor MD, I believe, somewhere. Cursor
Okay.
rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Cursor rules here. Um, it's just extra context for like telling the agent and your ID like what are the rules of like the like what is the viable thing, like what is the structure of the code base, like how should things look, so you don't have to say it like every single time. So like our core team maintains this, and so you have a more directed Cursor or Claude experience than just like YOLO Claude, like whatever. It is actually based off some direction, some like formal direction, like code style guidelines and like the development workflow and stuff. um, but anyways, how does like a real like agentic vibe coder code plugins or like it gets pretty dirty, but I mean I'll tell you the honest truth. Um, Download some really good plugins that are already done. So I have like a main Eliza folder which has like the whole Eliza code base, and then I have like 20 plugins that are like side by side with like the registry. There's like Spartan, the org. You can have very good results if you literally just like bin Eliza, bin linear, bin like plugin GitHub, and then like what is any, and then go and literally be like plugin, like what should we make? Like uh, I'm just being real about how people should actually try to make plugins because this is literally how the industry is going to go. This is literally what we're doing with like AutoCAD. Um, I'll get into more detail about linear, but I just wanted to show like how graceful this actually is. But like plugin, what's like some new service or something that we don't have? Plugin,
Mid-journey.
does that make like Mid Journey? It's a decent one, but
I don't know if the API
I'm
is
thinking
open, because you have to pay.
more like Telegram. Signal is a pretty cool one. Does Signal have
Signal's
an
pretty cool.
API?
Signal's
Signal.
fully encrypted now.
Mm,
My brother-in-law is obsessed with Signal. He only speaks to people on Signal.
yeah, I don't know. This one might be. Could I get like an agent to like text message people, right? With technical information, I don't think they have that. It would. This would be a little bit hard to vibe code. You'd have to get into the lib signal protocol. Now, could I dump this entire lib into Cursor and it probably would make something? Probably. Um, but that's a bit too complex for 10-minute talk right now. But um, what's a good one? Like, can we just get like I just want a plugin that like manages like my Wi-Fi services or something on Mac, right? Or like, can we get a plugin to integrate with like my VPN, like plug in VPN or something? Let's try it. So yeah, let's do plugin networking. It's a bit more generalized, and then I'll like pin this. So we have the context of like the whole Eliza monorepo, a couple like good plugins like Linear and GitHub.
Yeah.
We'll also like, and then we're just gonna like write a prompt. Um, ooh, damn, that sucks. I should have done that. Plugin GitHub again. Where's networking? That's right there. Okay, accidentally did that. But it'll be like, please create plugin networking, or even how to do this even cooler. You want to get like super smart, you do this. I open up GPT-4o here, and I can literally talk into this. I don't know if it's gonna cut my mic on the other thing. You can also work in cursor from this. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's up to the thing.
That'd be
But
intense.
then I can literally just like dictate. I don't know if it's gonna cut my audio, but okay. Hello. We would like to create plugin networking, a new Eliza plugin. The purpose of this plugin is to integrate with the operating system on Macintosh for controlling VPN networks and Wi-Fi networks. Um, Please reference the existing plugin linear and plugin GitHub as good structure for how to set up your plugin. The Eliza code base is also attached. Um, Please define some actions in the plugin, such as get Wi-Fi connections, get VPN connections, change Wi-Fi network, turn off Wi-Fi, turn on Wi-Fi, deactivate VPN, etc. Please stick to the bun standard. Please make sure it has some tests. Please write a provider which always exposes my current Wi-Fi connection and VPN connection. Um, and make sure there's no TypeScript errors. And yeah, do a really good job, and I will tip you money. Okay, we take that.
So do you use GPT like this all the time whilst you're coding, and then you use this as prompts?
Of course.
Yeah.
You think software engineers code.
No. I mean,
So in 2025,
so I've used
no,
it.
just kidding. I'm kidding. We do code, but yeah, we
We
it's pretty
augment it. Yeah.
dirty. Yeah, so I use that to like dictate because it's a better dictator than the one that exists in Cursor, and then I copy and paste that in here. We put it on Opus 4 Max agent mode. It is pretty expensive, but thank you, elizaOS Foundation. Um, And yeah, we're gonna see what happens here.
I've been using something called Goose, Chris, which is like it'll monitor the folder and then uses GBT on top, um, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I was just
Yeah,
curious to see you use the voice note function and like create the prompt like that.
yeah, it's so I
It's
guess this
pretty
is a
neat.
good demo of like our plugins are very standardized. I know it's just kind of like meme, like vibe coder, like look at this kid, but the point of this is like our plugins are so well defined and
Okay.
they do have a very standard spec where yeah, you can kind of dream up like whatever you want and you can just let it rip because it's all plugins are kind of the same set of like three things like actions, providers, and services. There's also evaluators, but they're a little bit more niche. Um, but it's very simple to get going. And this is I can see it's cranking. So it's creating a package JSON with dependencies. It's gonna be yeah, this is gonna work perfect, I think. Yeah. It's already exactly perfect. So yeah, it's yeah, this is gonna be cake. So this is kind of a demo of like what autocoder is going to do. Um, we do have some SaaS stuff that was announced. And so you will be able to just kind of you can imagine a world, and this is where the world is going. Like, don't get it twisted. Like the days of me sitting here and like coding and networking plugin for like a whole week or whatever, and like that's no longer like a viable like. If you're doing that as a developer, you're not gonna make it. Um, like straight up, everyone does this on the team now. Or like we start off with this, and then it's the review of like it's about getting your first generation and like your prompting as good as possible. It'll do like 90% of the work. And then mostly your job is to like QA, review, fine tune, test it, and like make some changes. And occasionally it messes up and you have to be knowledgeable enough to detect that stuff. But like the speed of development of Eliza is really driven by a lot of vibe coding and API coding, but done in a super um, well formatted and professional way. I would say some of the engineers on the team are like top tier vibe coders. There's like differences between vibe coders. There's like the people that go on like Bolt AI or whatever, and they just like slap some like React front end stuff, or there's like people that like fine tune like all their like Claude MDs and like they have like feedback MCP cycles and they like really know how to use cursor and stuff. And the difference is I would say like you
Differences.
really need to learn how to use AI because like my job is over. Like as we can see here, like I'm not gonna we got it's cranking. It's created the network service. So let's see what's happened here. It's like perfect code almost. So enable Wi-Fi control, macOS networking integration, um, execute command. But yeah, I think this is there's gonna be some things we'll see if this works like with this path, like scan resolve this path. That's a bit sketchy. But as you can see, this is giving me a very good bootstrapping of like what I wanted exactly. Um,
Nice.
while this is cooking, this is gonna cook for a bit. Let's talk about the linear plugin then, because that's what I was supposed to do today. But
That's
I'm
good.
just giving you the
So
like, if you want to be a cracked dev, like do what I just did right here.
before you
But
jump in, Chris, there's a question from somebody listening, and also just to your reference point, I think the difference between the coding is that I would be the vibe coder on Bolt, and yeah, I've played with Cursor, but I think you need to still know how it fits together, right? The question from the audience is: would OnlyFans.com API theoretically be able to be set up as a plugin?
yeah, absolutely.
I don't see why it couldn't, from
Literally
what I can see.
anything that exists through any kind of thing. I mean, only this is going to be sketch. I need to be careful what I type in here, boys. Okay, okay. Is this a real OnlyFans API, or is this
I'm
like
looking at the
some
same
other
page, yeah.
SaaS?
Build your own
$1 million
distributed network.
seed funding. Wow.
It's probably a big enough
Amazing.
economy to have like infrastructure being built for OnlyFans. Like, was it? How many
This is
followers
actually
did
a
they
really
say?
good one to do. We should have done this one. No, I mean I could. Now, see what is Sayo here? What is the Sayo's here? What is that one website where it's like an LLM.txt of like the whole documentation in a single thing? Um, you showed it off for our docs here, and it was like super useful. Um, I don't know if Sayo is in the chat. I don't want to read DMs here, but if these the real hard part here is like how to scrape the docs. So like when you're doing prompting, it's like does this have like real documentation somewhere? Oh my god. Also I would need a $100 a month API plan to even start this. Like where's the docs documentation? Yeah. Copy markdown. Yeah, so your best bet at vibe coding this stuff would be copy all the markdown and like web scrape like all these pages and like dump it in. Or that's like how I would start. Or API reference. Yeah, it's kind of jank. But yeah, you
What
could
API
literally
calls?
just
Mass
copy it.
messaging, media, notification, fans.
Uh,
Wow, it's pretty
Yeah.
comprehensive.
Yes. So as a plugin, like just like abstract, I'm not gonna take the time to make all this, but like get current account. It could be this one would probably be a provider that you would only call once. After so you would create an OnlyFans API service, which would do it would probably an introduction of like how to log in, create your API key, connect to your account. There's probably now this one doesn't have an NPM package, so it's fully just REST APIs, it looks like. So yeah, there's not your service would basically hold kind of like the base URL of the API, the environment variable, and it could expose like an API fetcher, um, like helper or something. It wouldn't have as strict of a thing as like Twitter client V2 thing. That's like a constructed class. You could go and make your own full OnlyFans API class. That's a decent way. But then, yeah, you would be basically the work to do would be like this current account, like always inject my current account into the provider so your agent always knows like who you are. List accounts would be an action. And one thing Shaw actually showed off recently is parameters. We're going to be actually adding that, I believe. I don't want to leak too much,
Yes, you do.
but
Yes,
he
you do.
was showing off. I do want to leak some stuff. He was saying like you're gonna love this. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty
This is
far up.
going on YouTube, Chris. That's all right. Just remember, it's going to be there forever.
Yeah, I'm gonna zoom in super fast so it doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of yapping, but um, we are going to be adding parameters, so you can define exactly whatever the parameters for these APIs you can like set in your action, and then you're basically kind of copying REST endpoints into actions. Um, and there would be a lot of actions here. There's quite a bit of stuff you can do. This would be like a good like 50 action plugin.
Yeah, there's a lot
But
going
yeah,
on
you
there.
can you can just go through and just make a bunch of actions. So yeah, this thing here is 7 out of 8 done. It's finally creating its README here. It has an end-to-end integration test file. I mean, this thing is done like 3 weeks of an engineer's work in like 8 minutes. And yeah, it's definitely pretty sick. So like plug-in linear, for instance, um, you know, just it's kind of a one-to-one mapping of like the APIs of things and actions. So like get linear activity is an action. So I can ask the agent to like, here's a ticket and I want the information on that. How do you structure that action? You give it a name. Typically it's in uppercase underscores, what they call it. This is like Python notation. It's not there. There's a camel case. I forget what the professional programmer name of this style is, but yeah, we typically do full capitals with underscores for the action names. Um, and then you give it a description. This description is important. It's not just a description for the programmer, it's a description for the LLM. Similes are just more context of like maybe I don't exactly say like get linear activity, maybe I say like check linear activity. And so you're giving like a few more similes of how the action could be called. And then finally you'll give actual examples of like user says, show me recent linear activity assistant. I think this is actually wrong. It should be I believe it's actually supposed to be like this. Yeah, I'll just leave that. But um and then you can like give it examples of like the process of like how would a chat flow work with this thing. And this just gives the model, this is one shot training basically. This is yeah, so it has support for like your one shot training, to just like super fine tune your actions. You can also ignore in here, like show me what issues John created this week. But like maybe I wanted a little bit if like what's um what is going on? Oh my God, this is such an issue. Okay, so I'm using the word issue here, and we want to tell the agent of like, yes, it's about getting linear issues, but sometimes the user is going to just be talking about issues in a different context. And then in this situation, I'll say, you know, um, this one should be like, what is going on? So such an issue. Um, oh dear, how can I help? How can I help you? Whatever. And then you would just like reply. Now reply is like a default bootstrap action instead. And so I can kind of like fine tune in here of like if you most of the time like this isn't an issue, but if you do find like you're having like actions conflict with each other, or it's getting like it's thinking that like the word issue always means call this thing, your best shot at fixing that stuff is like in the examples like this. Um yeah. Um how's everything going here? We failed some things, failed some tests.
Oh
Okay.
no,
So
Kaiser failed.
but it's got 14 and 5 failed. I mean it's not doing too bad.
No.
Um validate function. So for this get activity, how my validate function works is it's just if there's a linear API key, then return the Boolean expression of that, which is like true if it's set. Again, we're using the runtime to get our environment variables. You don't have to do process.env inside of things because we have a get setting abstraction, which combines from like various sources of where environment variables can be set. Why do you not just do process.env equals whatever? Um, is because settings can come from multiple different places. Like, for instance, CLI, source, characters, Eliza TS. We have the settings field. So environment variables are secrets in here. So I can set secrets directly in here. At the agent level. And of course, those wouldn't be on the process end. They are in here, but like maybe I put in like a hard coded value or something, right? That's only specific to this character and only bound to its runtime. And so this is what the get setting function is abstracting for you. So you get setting will do all of the env, all of the agent dot secrets, and make sure that you like, it makes that easier for developers. Um,
So why would you? So you remove that out afterwards. So you Yeah, you hypothetically speaking there? Is that in a if scenario?
Sorry, what do you mean?
So you just typed out on the end of the const a few additional notes. I think it was agent.secrets as well.
Oh yeah, I was just visually saying like what. Don't type that. That's not real code.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what the get setting function is like for. So if you're wondering why we do that, that's why we do that.
Okay.
Um, and then you have your handler, which exposes runtime message state options and a callback. This callback goes into Bootstrap and like fires through the event network. For sure is crushing. Um, and so here's a good. So we get the linear service. So as we talked about, um, of like constructing APIs and like reusability and composability of code. Like really computer sciencey about modularity and encapsulation and all those cool topics. Um, Service is a really important part here. It's a singleton class for for a piece for an access to like an API or a service or a library. Um, and so in the service of linear, right, the linear service is going to do the actual constructing of the linear client. This one's a very trad situation, a very traditional. This is a good example. It's not as complicated as like for OnlyFans API. Since it's REST based, you don't actually have like a linear SDK. You're not like constructing a client, so you kind of do it like a bit differently. But this one's like a really good example of like what services are meant for. It's going to basically hold this dot client equals linear client. Um, and then you have access to the singleton of the linear client. So you're not recreating the client like over and over and over. In any kind of coding or programming, web app development and anything, you need this kind of singleton class of your library constructions. Services is how Eliza does it. Services also have a few um, class functions that are like standardized, like you have like start and stop. Um, these ones are custom, but it's mainly just start and stop. And is there more? We actually have these in the service. Oh, why can't I just click on that? Yeah, there's stop, start. Yeah, start and stop is like the main ones that a service needs to implement. And then you can add your own functions if you wish.
Nice.
Um, um, So yeah, so back to the get activity, we're going to be grabbing that linear service by runtime.getService. Again, another helper function, and it's string based. This is being typed out to the linear service string in here because it's a very like in the Eliza framework, right? You can have like an infinite amount of random plugins. We can't really offer you like, yes, it would have been nice to have something more like services dot or dot linear, right? Could we ever make that happen? It's hard because we don't know. We can't actually make a typed enum or an object of every single plugin in existence, plus maybe people's custom plugins that aren't in the core yet. Um, so it does work off strings. So you just like enter linear there, and that registration is going to be dictated by the service type um, in the class here. So you can see you say the service type is linear. That directly maps to this get service call.
Okay.
And that's how you find your services. Um,
So
anyways, we're
that's
getting pretty
a
deep dives here.
yeah, no, that's great. I mean, just taking a step back. So get activity, that's the agent identifying just what it's doing within that plugin. Not even the agent, but the AI is identifying within the plugin what it's doing and putting the different parts together. That's a crucial step, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. In this one, so this message content text is going to be like my request that like has come through like the chat or Discord or whatever. And so this one uses LLM to parse filters if content is provided. Um, this is a bit more fancy where I'm actually doing an in-between filtering step where like content here can be like, I think it actually has examples up here. Yeah, so it'll be something like this. It'd be like, show me what today's activity is, activity on this specific ticket, failed operations this week, um, return only a JSON object of like this.
Hmm.
And so it does try to interpret your natural English language requests into there's like some filters and stuff that Linear will try to work with. And so this is it can be very you can make this more basic and just be like, give me this ticket number and don't do anything else. But this get activity thing interprets your request a bit more. And so the response here and so yeah, get activity template, replace the user message with content. This template here was defined up top. And then based on that response, it's like the parse version. We do like all this filtering stuff, uh, like to do like times and dates and the types and the resource IDs and the success. And like, so this is like handling the JSON filters that's like dynamically created from the English language requests. Um, then get activity log, get filtered activity. So let's see where the actual linear share is called. So like none of this stuff had to do with linear itself. This is just like parsing out the prompt. And then yeah, I see here. So then we have like our filters constructed, and then we're gonna call the linear service get activity log, which is like a real function that their API exposes with our filters. Um, additional client-side filtering for time range. This one's a pretty filtery action. Um, but eventually you get an activity, and if an activity dot length equals 0, no linear activity found with the specific filters, then we do a callback and then we do a return. Um, yeah, so this one is in the case that it didn't exist, but in the case that it did exist, then we do some like more parsing, it's like JavaScript stuff, activity text. We're just like constructing like a nice looking message with like the status, the action, the resource type. Just constructing like a nice looking string literal to like find the output. And then like your header text, like linear activity, if it's from a date, then it'll use this. If it's like recent activity, then if you're just asking random stuff. And then finally, it's the same style. So you can see the callback and return for the action chain. And so in this case, it's more of this is kind of a like almost an error message. Not really an error message though. This is legitimate. So just because it found nothing, we are still returning true because it's not a real error. Um, there's a real error here. This one is like if it in the try catch, if something failed like critically, like activity log function, like just completely like through like a JavaScript runtime error, then it's going to catch into this block. And then this is when you use like success equals false. Um, this is going to let the action chain know that the action that it just tried to call did not work and did not return anything. And then it's going to try to edit its plan and like it'll reevaluate its parameters and introspect into, it gets the error message. Um, and you get the whole stack trace. And so it's kind of like the LLM will it works like that in Cursor and Claude too. If something throws like a stack error, it'll reevaluate its action plan to try to fix the action call, which can happen sometimes. The benchmarks on this stuff is like I think in the best cases, like the best quads and stuff are at like 85 to 90% success rates, but there's always like a 10% chance of it just literally hallucinates something crazy if it doesn't match, what will happen is like it doesn't match this JSON object,
Okay.
and it'll like hallucinate some random stuff. That doesn't happen too often with basic requests, but if you're finding your actions are going crazy, it's most likely it's just the element. Like if you're using too weak of a model, you'll see different variance in performance on plugins with different models. Um, and that's all to do with like how well the models can accurately construct like their outputs without hallucinating. Um, but anyways, that's a very autistic engineer flow through Git activity. Then you do the exactly same thing for like Git issue. That one is actually activity. This one's a bit different. This isn't even to do with issues, actually. Sorry, but this one is activity is just like the different things that people have done and thing. But like Git issue is actually more traditional. But list projects again, list projects, list teams is a very similar flow. It's very repeatable, which is why vibe coding works very well. Um, you can like search issues, but again, where this one gets fancy is like the user might express searches in various ways, and I've like listed out like different similes for this kind of stuff, and then it's like extracting natural language into a defined exact JSON thing that will work in linear API. This is the magic of agentic development, is the ability to take vague English requests that may have typos and all kinds of stuff and type that through to structured outputs. Anyways,
Do you think from a
um,
a guide perspective, you could almost set the guide up so that it's a prompt? Basically, what you've done here, you've prompted something into cursor around what you need, and then you have different points within the output from the LLM that you need to check and just sense check. Does that kind of make sense if you look at it from that perspective?
yeah, that's basically what autocoder is going to be doing.
Okay.
Yeah, so all right, that's enough yapping about how to make actions. That's just some stream of consciousness about what's going on.
Yeah.
It's pretty deeper dive than probably what was needed, but um, all right, let's go check on what happened over at our plugin networking thing. So yeah, I mean, we got everything we wanted. Let's accept this. We got 3,000 lines of code for free, paid for by the company. Thank you very much. Probably cost about $10 to generate this. Not too bad though. My hourly is higher than Cursor hourly, so it's worth investing. If you have a company, make sure your devs have Cursor plans because they will make you a lot more money and be a lot more productive. Or you can pay me for a week to sit here and make this. Um, so yeah, everything looks pretty good other than I'm seeing some TypeScript errors where it's doing like that. Yeah. What I would do here is I'd just be like, boom, and then I'd be like, boom, and then I'd be like, still some TS errors, clean all of the TS errors up. And in the meantime, I'll go in and try to like build a project, plug in networking. I'll see in here, I go to get bun install, always use bun, looks good. We'll give it a bun run build. Okay, so I think the TS app is ignoring some stuff. It probably doesn't have strict true. Yeah, TTS true, but it doesn't have strict. I guess it didn't get stricted. Power TS config is like strict in here. It is true. It's a bit weird that the building with errors.
So, Chris, when you actually put together the linear plugin, so you probably follow this process yourself, I guess, right? And then, did it work on your first attempt, or what was the what was the debugging cycle that you went through? How did you?
Yeah.
when you did it in
I
for the
basically
first time
I
with
did
the
what
actual
I
linear
did right
plugin?
now. Like
Okay.
I literally went to I go to Linear API. I always go here, and I started off with like just like copy pasting these docs in. Basically, I was like, here's all the docs for like the Linear API, or here's the TypeScript SDK one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, and then I was like, I'd like it to do this and this. The main thing that it messed up was it didn't have callbacks. It over provided a few things. It had like duplicate replies. One of the things that you need to be careful of is that you don't have exact duplicates of like providers and actions that do exactly the same thing because it can trigger kind of like duplicate replies. So I actually ended up with the linear plugin right now. It doesn't have any providers. Um, so we actually had a good talk with Odie about this. About there's the case of do you one shot call, like I want my agent to always know all the current tickets. And so if you're getting a lot of messages about tickets every day, do you want it to for every single message to go and refetch all the current tickets? Or would you rather implement a caching system where all tickets are kept in a provider, which has like a cache service? Um, and it's going to basically just pull on its own, like you said, like 10 seconds, and it'll just keep all the tickets always inside context, and then it won't need to do an action call. And so the agent like instantly knows like what you already want. There's two different ways of I'd say this is the big dynamic, and probably Odie agrees of creating Eliza plugins is whether to make something a provider or whether to make something an action. And it all kind of just depends on your use case. Um, I'm a little bit more pro action as long as it's not an expensive thing that takes a lot of time. Another good one is like an agent that has like all token prices, like for a huge like set of like all the deck screener prices like in existence or something. Obviously, if you want to ask your agent or for Spartan or something, it's like give me like the top 10 token trades of the day or something. If 100 different people are asking, give me the top 10 token trades every minute in a Telegram channel, that requires the agent to literally scan all of Deck Screener, like thousands of tokens every single time,
Yeah.
recompute all of its calculations every single time, and then like return like an action result, which is like super slow and not really performant. And so instead, like I believe something like Spartan is keeping its cache of like top tokens on kind of like a 30-second basis inside of providers. Anyways, but yeah, with linear plugin, that was like my main debugging thing I had to figure out. Um, and just like deciding that yeah, so for linear I did end up going with more action style because I was also working with action chaining more. There is providers, but I actually commented them out because I was like, I just want like fresh stuff every time. But if I were to start getting like major usage of this agent and like it was like really being run in production with like a heavy serious like Slack team or something, yeah, I would probably take a second crack and start moving a lot of this into providers. Anyways, so bun run build now is looking real juicy. Now, what I did here to fix the TypeScript is we added TSC to TS up. This actually, we should be using just bun run build. This is kind of a little bit older. We haven't made the full transition to bun build all the way, but eventually we can even get rid of TS up. But anyways, we have a fully working plugin. Let's try to load it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the Eliza monorepo. So this is like I already demoed like how to do it last time on the Eliza create. So like how would you develop a local plugin in the monorepo? This is how you do it. You go into CLI source characters. Let's delete our slop that we put in here previously. Let's give it a nice little format. We'll go to the bottom here where we define some plugins, and we're going to enter, is it already gonna know what I want? There you go. And then the last thing you have to do is in the package JSON. We could just publish this plugin, to be honest, we could. Okay, I might as well. Fuck it. It's probably a pretty good plugin to have. Let's do it. Let's see. So what I do for publishing is I'm just going to copy npm workflow from here. For regular people that are not, you would basically make a pull request. What we can do, you can make a pull request to the registry and you can handle your own deployments. Or if you think you have a really classic foundational level plugin that's not just like your meme coin like individual thing, but like if you've made something really foundational, like the OnlyFans API one would be pretty foundational where we would be interested in having that on the official elizaOS plugins. You can just request to the team. I'll make you a new repository in here, and you're free to you do your pull request to here. We'll merge it up. We'll get the full deployments on npm, and then you can get your package listed as like an official at elizaOS thing. Um, for this, I didn't make a repository, so it's going to be a bit jank. So I'm actually going to try to do this just locally because I forgot to put this in a Git repository, and I don't feel like doing that right now. So we're just going to go in the package here, in the package JSON. Let's go back to the Eliza project. Make sure we're on the latest develop branch. When you are, mm, yeah, we're on develop. Yep. Okay. So yeah, if you're doing work, make sure you're on develop, not main. I'm gonna hit with a bun run clean, and then I'm gonna be basically adding uh my new plugin in here, plugin networking, but I will be moving it to a file type, which I hope works. A bit weird, but I've done this before, where if you have something on your local machine, you can do this like file colon style. You can also do a bun link. We could try that as well. Bun link has been a bit more weird sometimes. Oh, we have a bug on develop. Oh my gosh, really? Really, boys? Really, boys? All right, just maybe just because of this thing I added in here. Probably is. Okay, we'll try the bun link then instead. So it's probably a bit more stable for this. So what bun link is going to do is it's going to like fake that the package is deployed on your local machine. So it'll say bun link this, copy that in, boom. So now it's installed like plugin networking as a thing. And it's, I think though we need to, yeah, it's 1.0, that's fine. Now everything's going to build. Then the next time I do elizaOS start, it's going to the CLI is going to read this entry here in your agent character, and it's going to automatically try to install this. Bun link is going to intercept that as the package name, and it's going to just install my local machine. All things considered, that should be save bun run start. Sometimes I like to do the actual package index, but hopefully this is all good today. Mm -mm. Okay, so did we load up that? I think I actually have way too much stuff activated here is because I have yeah, I have like Twitter going. I'm gonna deactivate Twitter. I don't want that at the same time. So I'm just gonna comment on Twitter. What do I actually want here? We also don't want linear. We don't care about like admin passwords. And this is all we want. And there's no dependencies to the networking thing. It should just be like that. Um, I'm gonna do like this. Oops. And let's see if this works. No, maybe. It's a lot slower on monorepo because it's like building the whole thing. Delegation depth exceeded, preventing infinite loop. And that's gnarly. Hmm. really cache nice. Boys. Yeah, the bun stuff is lots of fun. Um, yeah, we have some like caching usage that we're still working through because we're using Turbo. I think we need to get rid of Turbo and Bun together. It's a pretty common issue in the monorepo is like if something fails, and like the reason why this happened is because it got through some installs and like a control C the command line and it like, corrupted the cache. And then you have to run bun run clean again to like wipe the node modules and stuff. This is a turbo issue. This is kind of our implementation of bun. We're gonna fix it fully pretty soon, but I think we need to have a discussion to like fully make sure that's never an issue ever again. Because it is pretty annoying. But okay, so we cleaned everything up. Now I'm gonna run this. There we go. Now it's cruising. It just had like a broken cache. Okay, so let's go check out our localhost 2000, and is that plugin in here? Plugin networking, there you go. So
Nice.
plugin networking is loaded up. Is it actually loaded up? Let's double check. Executing command bun add. Global directory. Yeah. Failed to load. I think the bun link was a bit. I think the bun link was a bit jank. Import failed using that. We'll see. So I'm just gonna request to Eliza. Oh, what can you do in networking? Mm, Now that's looking like just an OpenAI response. I don't think like be like list my Wi-Fi connections. So yeah, one note to the team is this thing here showing plugins. If it doesn't actually load, we shouldn't show it there. And I think we should just yeah. So it's gonna in this case, it's rejecting listing Wi-Fi connections. I know that that's the case because it just failed to load the local plugin with bun link. Seems like bun link is a bit jank. Unfortunately, um, let's try the file. Personally, I've been deploying plugins. So, oh yeah, it actually like fully removed it. That's not great. What happened here? And now I'm just like lost everything. There we go. This should work. And I've done this before. So we like bun install in here. Plugin networking failed to resolve. Is it like a double slash? Mm, mm. This is because it doesn't have a build. Let's see, where's your network? And what happened to my plugin board?
Did you write it at the
Am I
top?
tripping? Am I tripping?
I think you wrote it at
Oh,
the
it's
top.
on here.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the what? There we go. It didn't have the folder name. That's my bad. So now it probably works. It's a double slash. There we go. Okay, so that was developer error. So I had the folder name wrong. So now elizaOS plugin is installed with like a local file folder. This probably works a lot better. Let's try this again. So we're just gonna run the same start command. And that looked better. Yeah, so then we go final plugins being loaded. Plugin networking has been loaded.
Nice.
There we go. So let's go check it out again. We'll refresh the localhost chat here. Let's create like a new chat. Perfect. And be like, list my Wi-Fi connections. Now we're gonna see if the plugin even got generated correctly. It'd be pretty surprising if it works. I didn't touch it at all or review it once. Third thing, let me check out which Wi-Fi networks are around you. Failed to scan Wi-Fi, invalid prompt, prompter messages must be defined. Scanning for Wi-Fi networks.
So it's
Interesting.
trying
Okay.
still. Or is it just relooking it?
Um.
It's just
Well,
retrying.
it tried to actually do something. Um.
Some valid
I'm
prompt
sure
prompts or messages must
there's a
be defined.
runtime bug. Let's see what other actions this thing generated, and we can try those too before I like
Okay.
get Wi-Fi networks.
I think you just
Let's
tried
accept
there.
all this stuff. So to scan Wi-Fi networks. Let me see. This is probably a string in here. Yeah, it is. So if callback. So we actually had a real error. This entered the catch block, meaning that something like actually broke. Um, Probably our networking service. Networking service not available. Are we getting actually? I don't know if the networking service failed. Oh, here we go. We can see like list my Wi-Fi connection. It's coming in here. I'm just seeing if there's any errors. So I'm not actually seeing any errors yet that are like really bad. Mm, okay. See calling action get Wi-Fi networks. Success found action get Wi-Fi networks. Executing handler for get Wi-Fi networks. So we know that action is being called. Um, this is this action that I'm inside. Yep. But did it throw its actual error? Mm, it didn't. Which is, or actually, we do have something here. Invalid prompt, AI prompt error. Here we go. This is an AI SDK error or something. So it didn't do something correctly with using the. That's interesting. Okay. Okay. So we know the exact thing. Um, what I would do here is I would take a quick little look. I'd be like, oh, where are we using like use model? Would be like right here. This is where it failed. Um, Messages role system. Prompter messages must be defined. Is this not the right usage of this? Let me go search around here in the wild of like prompt. I think it's actually supposed to be prompt. I think we called it messages, but it should be prompt. It uses text. Use model, it can take a bunch of things. Okay. We can try to fix this just by I would just change this to like prompts and like delete all this.
I think the
Probably
original
decent.
error message was invalid prompt or something like that, right?
Yeah, I'm just thinking because like the role was wrong or something, but I think this might work.
Okay.
Like if we do runtime use model, like how is like the most? All these are using like prompt in here, target prompt, prompt. Yeah, so I think it just hallucinated messages. So we switched out to prompts. That seems like the actual fix to me. Seems pretty good. Okay, a little bit of senior engineering debugging. Then fun run build, we'll just hit that again. Now we have built a new project, and then we'll cancel our server. We'll uninstall. It's going on pretty long. Probably won't cut me off here, but we're gonna get a success, and then we'll stop yapping. Okay, then we rebooted the server. We've reinstalled the local package. So now we have our new changes, and then we'll make a new chat. Refresh the page. We're back at it. I'll be like, list my Wi-Fi connections. we pray to AGI gods.
You
Do we get
expect,
another thing?
you're expecting to see back what Wi-Fi networks are available on your computer at the moment, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's doing it. There we go.
Just doing it. Based. Okay.
Guilty.
It's a little bit jank, but it's we got forward.
Nice. That's within an
Found
hour
one
of
Wi-Fi net. Well, an hour of me also just like
yeah talking.
yapping
Yeah.
about everything else, but you really about 15 minutes of developer work. I think the bug here would be um, take me a little bit longer to no VPN connections configured, Wi-Fi disabled. I think the base service is probably using the CLI wrong. But you can see here, there's a great example of action chaining. Um, now, I could get more funky dunky. If you had Discord, I could show you some cooler stuff too. But failed to execute command network setup get airport Wi-Fi network. Here's the problem. This command here is like some macOS thing, and I don't think I have it installed on my computer. So again, what I would do is I would take like a lot of this and I would dump that log into there and I'd be like, here's like that conversation as well. Um bug with get Wi-Fi. Please look at logs. Seems an error. Yeah, we're getting there. And then the agent should, I mean, you can try some other ones, toggle Wi-Fi, or maybe like just try like get VPN, get my VPN connections, if any are active. I don't actually have a VPN online right now, but I could.
Where do you pretend to be? Which IP address do you tap into? Which country?
Um, let's see here, checking VPNs. No, that's actually correct. So let's try to swap a VPN and see what happens here. So I'm gonna, it's just gonna be Canada. Hopefully, I don't think it'll kick me off. Let's make a new chat and let's do it again. Now I should have an actual VPN here. You guys didn't get kicked off?
Canada will kick you off the internet. They'll say you're not allowed. No VPNs.
Is this actually working? Is it being based?
No VPNs for Eliza.
Oh, we're getting some errors I see here. Let me check for any active VPN connections. Checking connections. No VPN connections. Oh, wow. So what happened here is because I switched VPNs in the middle of it, it actually booted off my database from Superbase, and we can see some. I changed like my whole IP address. It looks like Eliza eventually did. It's the same error, the network setup get airport Wi-Fi thing. But yeah, you can see like database operation fails happened when I changed my network, and we did eventually actually recover, which is kind of cool to see. And it was able to handle a network change in runtime, which is actually pretty impressive. Good work, team there. Um,
Nice.
see here,
That's awesome,
build succeeded. Seems like we have a new crack at this. Error obtaining. See now it has stuff.
So, bit of a question away from maybe the coding, but what plugins? What type are there different types of plugins that you can build using different strictures? I mean, this seems like quite a relatively straightforward request. I guess you're calling a computer or like an API, but yeah, how do they get more complex maybe? And what directions can they start to be built in to achieve more things?
Yeah, so I think Spartan is probably the best example. Is Odie here? You could, yeah, he's probably not here anymore. Yeah, Odie's definitely gone. Um, Most of the team is out of here. Um, Odie would be the best one to give a presentation on that. He's built the most complex plugin so far, but like the whole agent of Spartan is a plugin itself. And so how to make super more complex plugins is plugins can actually depend on other plugins. And so like Spartan, for instance, will like import the Twitter one, the Telegram one, the Solana one, and then inside of its own plugin, it will handle like its own custom like Spartan flows and like it uses like the bird eye and coin market cap and stuff. And so you can actually build plugins that are dependent upon lots of other plugins. Um, and you can build like super plugins kind of like that. And that's how a lot of like the best agents are being made right now. Um, I would also say Shaw is like the best plugin developer right now. He has like crazy plugins. Like we do have, for instance, like camera or what is it, Vision.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's made a Vision plugin, which has like it can tap into your camera from your web browser or your actual device. Real-time frame capture, vision language models, um, every single thing. Coco, like
Wow.
using WebAssembly for that. So this will give like your agent ability to like read all camera and like video devices that it's connected to. It can get pretty high level. We have like a N8N one that'll automatically generate N8N workflows, which your agent can set up and run. It gets
Sorry.
pretty like I'm
N8N.
pretty sure there's like a bug.
What is N8N?
Yeah, there's like an N8N like the agentic workflow automation platform.
Uh-huh.
Eliza can actually manage these because they have dogs. And so like it becomes like pretty incredible when you're like there's a lot of like work there's a lot of like framework wars in the agentic world. This though is like, well, you don't really need like you just have all agents run all frameworks together because like agents can control other frameworks and stuff, and then it's just like a wrap, right? Like, and so yeah, Eliza is probably one of the only frameworks that supports other frameworks managed within itself. So if you like really love some any then thing that's only available there, but you want to integrate it into like a Telegram function in Eliza, you can do that. And it'll also just like naturally action chain.
Nice.
Um, okay, so we actually have an update here. Let's see if I can get a final success for the stream. Let's try this again. Bone install. Better Wi-Fi status checks. Oops. That's gonna be super slow because I'm on VPN, I think. That's why. Uh, it's like crazy slow. I'm gonna hop off this VPN one sec. This is like crazy. Okay, there we go. Okay. This is our last attempt before our dynamic device name instead of hard coding Wi-Fi. Yeah, that was a bug. So it flops a little bit when you vibe code, but you just gotta like go back and forth with it. You literally just like copy paste the logs in, and you can like usually like get a success. So it's like now get my Wi-Fi networks.
I mean, as you've been saying, you're now a Q&A engineer, right? You said that.
Yeah,
I see you said that a
no,
few times now. Like,
engineers.
which is quicker than building this by scratch, right? By far, still. Zero.
Networks.
It's not.
Oh my. Mm-mm-mm. This one's actually maybe a little bit harder than you think, just because of the macOS commands. It's a bit interesting. My vibe coding didn't work today. Interface N0 Wi-Fi enabled but not connected to any network. This is the wrong interface it's selecting, I think. You could like get Wi-Fi network, get Wi-Fi network. So what I would do here is like if I really want to be like a software engineer, um, the networking service get Wi-Fi networks function, accept this, get list of available networks here. I don't know if this is even right, but if you were to like tail into this file, I'm sure some like system administrator would like destroy me, and like tell me what to do here. But you could like tail this file and pretty interesting. It's like a bunch of source code stuff. I think it's like a Swift. Okay, so I don't know if that's actually what we want to be doing here. We could be like, yeah, of course, it's gonna go on too long for the stream, but my next step would be like, I don't like this file reading style. You could like Google or you could go to like ChatGPT, right? Or just like quickly be like, um, um, be like, um, we are trying to get macOS Wi-Fi networks. We're using this style, but it's jank. What's best POI command to use for macOS Wi-Fi? GPT-4 is going to crank. Oh, it's pretty accepted POI code. However, yes, it's janky because it's undocumented. Use airport, but respected parsing, core. Yeah, you go through all these things. I'm not even gonna do that. I guess it's actually the way to do it though. Okay. This is actually a command. I see what I did wrong here. So let us see that. The airport command line tool is deprecated and will be removed in future releases. Use the wireless or the WD util app. I see. So then I would like copy paste this in here and be like, please migrate to use the like WD util. Right. Anyways, but yeah, so this is plugin development in the wild. I think I'll wrap it up.
Yeah, fair. No, I mean, like you built the plugin, you structured it, you got it working in part right. You would continue doing this until you deployed
Yeah.
it, right? Effectively. It's awesome,
Yep.
man.
But yeah, this is when the engineer comes in. You can like get the bootstrap from vibe coding, and then like you're gonna have like little bugs, like, and then you just kind of go back and forth on that, and eventually you have a perfect plugin, and then you can be a god tier coder.
It still does require a lot of knowledge of the architecture, how the different systems fit together. I wouldn't be able to follow along with this. I could follow along with, you know, the structure and what you're sharing, but debugging it and understanding which parts interact with each other, maybe that's the new skill. Like you need to learn the architecture, and that's what you need to teach people. Whereas before it was a lot more of the structure of the code and you know the language that you're putting down. But yeah, it's interesting. Which one of the plugins do you use a lot on the side?
This also takes a password too. Yeah, that would be. This one's actually a bit tricky. The funny thing is, we could do. I'll just stop all this. We also have the shell plugin, and so the funny thing is, I could probably just activate the shell plugin and ask the shell to check my Wi-Fi, and it'd probably work, which is like hilarious. So there's like different ways of going about this, where I could be like, elizaOS, give me that, but just do shell. Like, watch this.
Shell.
Yeah. So we have this shell plugin. I'm gonna remove the networking plugin, but uninstall. And this is the thing with agents, right? Is like you can take the time to like go make a networking plugin if you have like really fine stuff to do. But now just like give it access to CLI. So we also have the shell plugin that's already been done. I'm going to just swap out that. I'm gonna just bundle and build. Oops.
Guess
And now
what's
I think it'll be able to. It's gonna so in this style, the LLM is going to create its own commands to find my Wi-Fi networks. It's a bit more powerful, in a little bit more of a dynamic way, and I think this will probably work. Um, and so yeah, it is about architecture. You still have to like know how to code and stuff, but yeah. So now we're gonna run this. We'll come back in here, make a new chat, and be like, run in shell, get my Wi-Fi networks on macOS.
so this is the shell is a program that's running within the agent to okay.
Okay, this is actually pretty good feedback though. Command failed because the shell plugin was disabled. You actually have to do this as an environment variable. It's like a security thing. You just have to do like this. I actually do have this already right here. Yeah. So the shell plugin has like it has a allowed directory. It has shell enabled, shell timeout, and shell forbidden commands.
Okay.
And then I can go into like documents, new folder, shell. What exists? Okay. I don't need to rebuild anything. Gonna restart the server. Now it's gonna have Eliza has its own folder directory now, and it has full access to my terminal. So let's try this again. We'll make a new chat, refresh. I think it's gonna work now. Oh, okay, so it's gonna run a command, Wi-Fi, command executed, preferred Wi-Fi. There you go.
Okay. Wow.
So that actually works. That works on its own.
Interesting.
So
So what is shell? So that has taken the agent into the terminal to operate independently. Can you expand on that?
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, yeah. It generates. It's gonna just instead of like me hard coding like Wi-Fi network actions, it's the LLM can generate its own terminal commands, and it just figured it out on its own. And this is actually real now. You can be like in shell, you know, list my like CPU RAM usage in macOS. This is a very powerful plugin.
Maybe Chris, just to wrap it up. So like contextualizing this for how it can be used within an agent. Um, so the agent is a Wi-Fi management agent, right? Maybe it's checking if the Wi-Fi is down. I mean, that's a very basic use case, but yeah. What do you think?
Well, yeah, the that I probably wouldn't do that networking plugin. That was kind of like a test. The where this is all going though is like, and like Shaw will have more of this with the autocoder is social coding in Discord like together is kind of like where we're headed. And so you can imagine like in shell plugin, create me a new file called hello eliza.js, make it run some JS code that prints a very nice welcome message. Um, hello, Eliza fans, with some emojis, and then run the script, right? And so this is like the Claude codes and stuff of the world. It's like eventually agents are, and this is like the QA, like computer usage agent stuff, which OpenAI predicts we won't you'll eventually just give security policy forbidden patterns. Yeah, I guess this is part of my. I tried to use a forbidden command, so the security works. Um, but eventually, yeah, agents you'll just probably give them a computer with like shell and like a browser, and this is the whole idea of Kua, Kua OpenAI computer using agent. Over the next like 3 to 5 years, I would assume we're going to become a lot less API using with agents, and agents are just literally going to get like a virtual machine and use computers like humans.
Mm.
And a lot of this stuff is going to just kind of become like this. The issue though is that the success rate of this stuff is still only 38% and like 58%. So like it's like failing like more than half the time. Um, but when this is fully solved, there will be a new realm of like agentic development. Um, and of course, elizaOS will be at the forefront of that. We already currently have some Cuba plugins and stuff. It's just not very reliable right now.
Okay.
Um, that's why people have been doing like, because eventually I'll just tell my agent, go to linear.app, navigate this user interface, click on the thing, like leave a comment. And so it's two different styles of development. We're not quite there yet, but when agents get to that point, it's a wrap for the world. We're going to be pretty cooked once Kua is like reliable. But I would still expect this is like probably 5 years out. But definitely where the industry is going to be headed.
Well,
Anyways, that's about it for me. That was really long.
no, that was great, man. I mean, what would the next step be from here? What would the next thing maybe that you'd like to run, or if you want to just jump off, Chris, we can wrap it up.
Um, yeah, just try to submit something to the Clank Tank. There's going to be like money prizes. Um, Stay tuned for auto.fun, cool things. Interact, join the Discord, interact with the community, ask questions, try to build cool agents, submit pull requests. We're always open to feedback about like how we can make it better and cooler. Um, and yeah, just we're all together here building the AGI, and um,
Nice.
it's an exciting time.
Are you yeah, are you familiar with the MCP server at all as well, Chris?
Yeah, MCP server. Yeah, I can talk about that a little bit.
Do you think that warrants another session, or should we call it there?
Maybe. Yeah. I shared my screen again. elizaOS,
I mean, the MCP is once you set that
MCP.
plugin once, you have a host of functionality, right?
Yes. So this one actually got an update recently. I don't know if this is, yeah. So the lore behind this is Fleek actually created an initial version and then they kind of stopped maintaining. So then we like forked it. We created our own official plugin MCP. This plugin MCP allows basically converts any model context protocol server into actions that can be called. And so this is a response to well, Eliza can't run MCPs and stuff like that. That's not true. We have a translation layer to all MCPs and also works for tools. And so Eliza, you can connect any MCP and it basically extracts the parameters and the execute function of the MCP tools into like actions, which is like reused like in exactly the same way. Um, and so yeah, the plugin flow, so user request, call tool action, get MCP provider data, tool selection, gain feedback, process tool results, memory. It integrates directly into the memory system as well with reasoning prompts. Um, yeah, this is Eliza's MCP plugin. Um,
Nice.
I haven't used this too much yet, but it's pretty cool.
I ended up using Heurists. So I don't think this was ready when I last got hands on with it. But yeah, I mean, do you have any favorite functionality from this that you've played around with so far? See developer assistant there.
Uh, I haven't personally yet, but I can see that we have a new one that's also plugin Composio, I think.
Okay. Maybe we
No.
could dive into MCP in the future.
Yeah, let's do that.
There's quite a lot of functionality
But
that is
yeah,
there. Yeah, cool. Look,
agreed. Yeah,
Chris.
we are. Okay.
Yeah, no, yeah. Thanks for running through everything. I think on the recording on YouTube, if you're listening in, underneath there's going to be the guides. So feel free to kind of take some time to go through that. Also join the community. Chris and the rest of everybody else is here 24/7 helping builders out. So yeah, if you do need a guiding hand, feel free to join in. And yeah, Chris, thanks you so much. Let's call it there.
Yeah, thank you for everyone coming out.
Cheers, dude.
Yeah.